Hey guys, it's Sandro here, and today's video is an international car wax showdown placing 4 individual car waxes from the USA, UK, Canada and Australia in the form of Turtle Wax Super Hard Shell Paste Wax, Bilt-Hamber Double Speed Wax, Mystic Waxes and Coatings Platinum Shield and Bowden's own Butte Beads Paste Wax in a head-to-head car wax comparison. Who'll take the gold? Well, we'll just have to wait and see. So why these particular 4 waxes? The truth is that initially I had no reason for picking these 4 specific car waxes to review, other than they've all been sitting on my shelf for months waiting to be tested out as soon as I had the chance. But the reason I even had them to start with is because you guys have previously requested them. It's only after I started testing them out that I thought, well, they are all from different countries, so maybe I could do a bit of an international contest here. In any case guys, whether or not these car waxes are the best representatives to wave the flag for each of their respective countries, most of them do have quite a good reputation, so I hope you do enjoy this in-depth look at them. So as per usual, I'll be evaluating these car waxes in the areas of their user experience, looks, feel, hydrophobic behavior, chemical and potential environmental resistance and durability that will also be based on prior testing in the lead up to making this video. So let the games begin. First up is the user experience. Now all these waxes have slightly different recommended applications, from using damp applicators to flashing times ranging from 30 seconds all the way up to 30 minutes, which I'm not going to go too in depth with here, as you can find all that info directly on the label or from the brand's own websites. What I am mostly going to focus on here is the actual user experience you get from each wax when it's applied correctly, and how easy, nice, forgiving or adaptable each one is to work with, and really just the enjoyment or chore of waxing your car with them. Starting with Turtle Wax Super Hard Shell Paste Wax, the first thing you're going to notice is that it doesn't have your typical hard paste wax consistency, but rather a pudding-like gooey green mixture, which, apart from its questionable looks, is a little more difficult to nicely and consistently apply a small amount to your applicator. I'd actually say that it'd be much better and easier if Turtle Wax just put it in a squeeze bottle. But once you get past that, it's actually not a bad car wax to work with if you do apply it sparingly, as is the case with pretty much all car waxes. I wouldn't say its application was overly nice, enjoyable or forgiving, but at the same time I certainly wouldn't say it was difficult or bad at all. It was really just somewhere in the middle, having quite a typical wipe-off experience, flash time and standard solventy smell. So honestly guys, as far as the user experience goes, I didn't love it, I didn't hate it, I didn't struggle with it or find loads of pleasure in it. It was fine. Next up was Bilt-Hamber Double Speed Wax. Now unlike Turtle Wax Hard Shell that maybe has a slightly forgettable application, I definitely have stronger opinions about Double Speed Wax's user experience. One thing you have to understand about this car wax is that it has very little forgiveness, if any, in its user experience. So basically you have to apply it extra super thin and really stay on top of its flashing time that, at least in my environment, was on the quicker side. As if you don't do these things, you will have one of the worst and most difficult wipe-off experiences of just about any car wax on the market. Now, if you do get the application and wipe-off time spot on, it certainly doesn't have to be an overly taxing user experience. But if I'm being honest, even at the best of times, it's still not the most pleasant wax to work with, and you shouldn't even contemplate using it on overly hot days or in direct sunlight. I additionally tried all these waxes with a machine application, and this was another area where I would avoid this wax, as it just starts to dust and clump in that scenario. So overall, I just didn't find much forgiveness, adaptability or pleasure in the application of this wax. And if anyone can point to a car wax that's less forgiving to use than double speed wax, I'd love to hear it in the comments. But otherwise, I just have to say it's not a car wax you can relax and just apply with a great deal of enjoyment and ease. One thing I do have to bring up about Mystic Wax Platinum Shield is that it states on the label that it flashes in precisely 28 seconds. So not 27 seconds and not 29 seconds, but 28 seconds to be precise. But joking aside, I did find it strange that the company doesn't take environmental temperature or humidity into consideration and states that it needs to be wiped down in exactly 30 seconds. Now, although I did mostly follow the instructions, I personally found that in my environment, 30 seconds seemed a little too quick in that the wax wasn't hazing or flashing as well as it could have compared to leaving it on a little longer. I found this a little strange as it is a Canadian wax that I would expect was developed and tested in much colder environments where it would obviously take longer to bond and flash compared to my own environment. But in any case, I actually thought it was quite a nice wax to work with overall. It laid down evenly and consistently with little effort, and although there was a touch of smearing during the wipe off that required a few extra passes to level down perfectly, I did enjoy it a little more than the previous two waxes, and I also had a go at machine applying it that seemed to work a treat in particular with this wax. So although I might disagree with the instructions on the label based on my own testing, I did enjoy the user experience and found it to be an adaptable, relatively nice and easy wax to work with. Last but not least is Bowden's own Butte Beads Paste Wax. Now compared to the other three waxes, it's a slower flashing wax that recommends a 20 to 30 minute bonding time, though I can tell you that I left it on some panels well over an hour without issue, so depending on the environment, you could actually apply it to the whole vehicle and then come back and wipe it down as an option. But in any case, you can just relax with this wax and not worry too much about strict flashing or wipe off times that are much stricter with the other three waxes. When you do testing like this and continuously apply 4 waxes one after the other over and over, you really start to get a feel for each wax and how they differ to one another in their user experience. And in that context, Butte Beads was just simply a joy to work with. I also noticed that its specific hardness or texture in the jar made it easier to apply less product to my applicator and avoid using too much without even having to think about it. The application and wipe-off experience itself was also by far the easiest and quickest here by a long shot. Now, like I mentioned, both Turtle Wax and Platinum Shield Wax were also decent in that area, but when you apply and wipe them all down side by side, there's just no denying that Butte Beads was exceptionally nice and forgiving by comparison. The user experience you have with a car wax comes down to many things that I've just discussed. But when you take into account other things like the rather nice chocolatey smell of Butte Beads compared to the plain solventy smell of the others, its vibrant orange hue and just beautifully presented packaging, it does additionally add to the user experience whether you care about these things or not. So in this first user experience event, Butte Beads took gold, Platinum Shield came in second with silver, Turtle Wax took bronze, and Double Speed Wax didn't quite make the podium in this first challenge. So after 4 days of curing indoors, the next test and event was evaluating how well these waxes can improve the look of automotive paint. Like I mention all the time, there's lots of things that dictate how well a car wax looks on paint, such as its darkening and saturation effect, its filling abilities, reflective gloss, and its added warmth and depth. But ultimately, all these things add up to what's most pleasing to the eye. And as with all these tests, I also want you guys to judge the results for yourselves. Turtle Wax looked quite reasonable. It was able to fill a decent amount of the compounding haze, add noticeable saturation to the paint, and boost gloss levels with some added warmth and depth in the finish. I wouldn't say it looked absolutely amazing, but I would also say it wasn't bad and once again was fine. On the other hand, I actually thought Double Speed Wax looked quite impressive. It most certainly filled much more of the haze compared to Turtle Wax, had a far more noticeable darkening effect, and the added reflective gloss was also to a higher level. Mystic Platinum Shield unfortunately didn't fare too well in this looks test. Its filling abilities were extremely limited, as was its saturation effect, and although it certainly added a little gloss and depth to the finish, it just wasn't on par with the other waxes here, and honestly a little disappointing in this area. Just like double speed wax, Butte Beads is really just a fantastic looking wax in every area. Its reflective gloss and depth was to my eyes pretty much on par with Bilt-Hamber, but I'd say its saturation and filling abilities were clearly better by comparison, elevating its overall look. Between these two waxes, I think anyone would be quite happy with their ability to improve the look of automotive paint, but I still have to give Butte Beads a slight edge in this area. So Bowden's Own took gold here, Bilt-Hamber was close behind with silver, Turtle Wax took bronze quite comfortably, and Mystic Wax unfortunately missed the podium. Next up was the Slickness or lack of friction test and event. Apart from slickness just feeling extremely rewarding, it also helps reduce wash-induced swells and helps dirt and other environmental particles be rinsed off with greater ease. Now as a whole, I wouldn't say any of these waxes have that super slick sealant feel to them, though some were certainly quite nice and others tended to be a touch grippy by comparison. Now for the third time in a row, I just can't get away from saying that Turtle Wax did fine in this test. It was kind of nice to the touch and certainly created a relatively nice slick feel. Bilt-Hamber was actually very close to Turtle Wax in this slickness event, with both of them perhaps being the most closely matched in this area, though I would have to say that Double Speed Wax was just a step down compared to Turtle Wax. Mystic Platinum Shield was a bit of a black sheep in this test. Now it did improve the paint as far as lack of friction goes, but it was extremely subtle and a bit grippy in a direct comparison to the other three waxes. So all in all, slickness just isn't a strong characteristic of Platinum Shield. Now although I wouldn't say it was a runaway victory, Bowden's Own was the clear winner here, if only by a close margin. It did display the most lack of friction in its section, being a good step ahead of both Turtle Wax and Double Speed Wax to take gold in this event. As mentioned, Turtle Wax took silver, Bilt-Hamber took bronze, and Platinum Shield was quite a few lengths behind the rest of the pack, missing the podium. So onto some water behaviour testing to evaluate the hydrophobic nature and abilities of these four international waxes. Now as I continue to introduce various amounts and volumes of water and different water spray patterns over this first test panel, you will hopefully see in the footage some rather different hydrophobic abilities of all these four car waxes. But more so, you'll start to see that two of these waxes have some pretty poor to average water behaviour, while the other two have some rather nice to impressive hydrophobics as far as car paste waxes go. In last place, there's just no denying that Turtle Wax takes a lot more time to sheet the water than all the other waxes. Additionally, its water contact angles are rather flat and it just struggles to even produce anything resembling a water bead. I know not everyone enjoys, appreciates or likes water beads as much as I do, which is fine. But even leaving that aside, Turtle Wax just pulls water over its section, struggling to sheet it, meaning that washing and especially drying your car isn't going to be all that nice and easy as it should be with a good paint protection product in place. So as far as car waxes go, Turtle Wax was just well below par in this area. By comparison, Platinum Shield is actually quite decent in its water behaviour. And as you'll see with the water bead testing and even more so on the second test panel, it was at least twice as good as Turtle Wax and overall acceptable in my opinion. Now having said that, it's just not that impressive in this area or a standout in any way. It's just passable and overall decent. Now when observing Butte Bead's water behaviour, it just couldn't be more different to both Turtle Wax and Mystic Wax. It sheets the water really rapidly, has nice propped up water bead contact angles, and just clearly displays a hydrophobic nature that is well above average for your typical paste car wax. So all in all, I don't think there's any denying that Bowden's Own has created quite an impressive car wax as far as hydrophobic nature is concerned. However, I think the greatest surprise during this whole testing with these waxes was seeing double speed waxes' water behaviour, which I do have to say is quite exceptional in the realm of car pace waxes. It simply sheeted the water faster than all the rest, and its water bead contact angles were also beautifully round and propped up to the point that it could give some SiO2 based car sealants a run for their money. So overall, Bilt-Hamber double speed wax was close to Butte beads, but I'd have to say a touch better to take gold in this event, with Platinum Shield taking bronze and Turtle Wax well behind, missing the podium. The final event was a chemical resistance test to try and predict the environmental contamination resistance and potential durability of these car waxes. For this I used CarPro Multi-X at a 1:5 dilution ratio, firstly lightly hitting the panel and then getting more and more aggressive with each subsequent application. Now while you guys continue to watch the footage, what you're going to see is that Turtle Wax really had next to no chemical resistance whatsoever. In fact, with just a light application or two of the chemical, it lost most of its looks and hydrophobic qualities rapidly, being extremely disappointing in this area. Platinum Shield on the other hand was at least an order or two of magnitude better here compared to Turtle Wax, and more typically losing its performance bit by bit as the test progressed. In the whole realm of car pace waxes, I'd say it was about average to potentially above average in this area, showing quite decent chemical resistance and potentially some good durability based on my testing. Bowden's Own was actually just a step or two ahead of Platinum Shield in this area, doing a little better to resist the chemical initially, but by the end it was rather close to Platinum Shield, but still managed to fare a little better and by all accounts showing some rather good potential durability. This last chemical resistance test was where double speed wax really shined and really separated itself. It was quite clearly the most potentially durable wax here, really resisting breaking down far better than the rest and only showing signs of deterioration towards the end. Now while you guys have a look at the testing on the second test panel, in which you should see a very similar result, I'm just going to wrap up this video with my own personal thoughts and conclusions. First up, I just want to say that this whole Olympic medal tally was just a bit of fun, and regardless of who took what medals and won, the real purpose of this video was to share with you guys how each of these waxes performs in different areas, so you can all decide for yourselves what performance characteristics are most important to you. Some people don't care about durability or don't mind a more difficult application, while others will be more interested in looks and water behavior. There's no right or wrong, just what matters to you most, and I hope this video helps provide that information. Now, in saying that, I do have my own personal thoughts and opinions, which I'll share here, but I'd also like to hear your opinions with these waxes in the comments. Firstly, I'm just going to say it, I don't especially like Turtle Wax Super Hard Shell Paste Wax. From the flimsy fluorescent plastic package to its week-old guacamole look and consistency, it's just not a pleasant or rewarding experience using this wax. It just feels cheap and nasty. But even leaving that aside, its performance ranges from being acceptable in areas of looks, application, and slickness to being outright disappointing in areas of water behavior and chemical resistance. The thing is that Turtle Wax is probably the most improved detailing brand over the last few years, really making some strong strides of progress. So this isn't me knocking the brand. It's more so that I just don't like this particular wax and struggle to find anything positive to say about it other than it's very cheaply priced. I also find it virtually impossible to believe its 12-month rated durability claim, as I know the brand's other hybrid waxes and sealants with much lower durability claims would absolutely destroy it in this area. So 12 months seems ridiculous for this wax, as based on my testing, it wouldn't last 12 weeks. Mystic Platinum Shield was actually sent out to me from some kind and talented Canadian detailers, but I honestly didn't know anything about it or the brand beforehand. I enjoyed its application experience and found some nice hand and machine application adaptability and also some pretty decent chemical resistance and potential durability with this wax. But if I'm being honest, its looks were a little disappointing, as was its feel or slickness, while its water behavior was decent at best. All in all, I liked it, but I wouldn't say I loved it. If I was using it, I tend to say that it could make a nice, durable foundation wax layer, but I'd still want to top it with another wax or sealant to bring out a little more gloss and slickness to my paint's finish. Bilt-Hamber Double Speed is a wax I've been wanting to try for a while due to you guys requesting it. What I can say based on my own testing is that for a paste wax, it does have quite impressive water behavior and potential durability, which I'd say is its most prominent performance characteristics. But apart from that, it still looks and feels quite good, so it ticks a lot of boxes, and I can certainly appreciate why it's got a good, well-deserved reputation. Now, I used a damp applicator and tried to apply it as thinly as possible, which certainly helped in improving the user experience. But as I mentioned earlier, it's simply a wax that's going to make you sweat and work like no other during its wipe off. And if you disagree, you're just going to have to list for me what waxes are more difficult to apply than this one, as I struggled to answer that question. When it comes to applying waxes, the user experience is at the top of my list, as if I'm going to work that hard, I'll just use a nano coating instead. I get it, not everyone wants a coating, and if you're set on using a wax, want one that will last a while, and you don't mind working hard, then this is certainly a great option. But for me, the user experience was just tough to overlook or call enjoyable, and I'd honestly be a little worried about using it on softer Japanese paints. Bowden's own Butte Beads, that's tough to say, is a new paste wax just coming out this year compared to the others that have been around for quite some time. I believe it was also just released as part of a larger detailing kit, so I have no idea what it costs on its own or its availability moving forward. What I can say is that I really enjoyed its laid back and ease of application, where you can just drift without a care and enjoy the experience of waxing your car. The bonus of it all is that it also looks and feels great, with equally fantastic hydrophobic behavior and some potentially decent durability. Now, there's nothing groundbreaking about this wax. Easy to use waxes exist, as do great looking, hydrophobic and durable waxes. It's more so that there's nothing you can really point out as a flaw or shortcoming. It just does everything quite well and puts a smile on your face while you're doing it. And I think that's the real key here, getting the balance of everything right. I think it's clear that a lot of work went into testing and developing this wax, and I just personally appreciated and enjoyed the whole experience of it. When I started detailing, paste waxes were pretty much it. Sealants were starting to appear and nano coatings were still decades away. In that setting, durable and tough to use waxes that lasted longer were certainly sought after and praised. But in today's setting with ceramic coatings, hybrid waxes and sealants, we're not necessarily turning to a paste wax for the ultimate protection, durability or performance. We turn to them for the enjoyment, connection and perhaps the look and feel a paste wax uniquely provides. I don't think car waxes will ever fade away, at least not in my lifetime. But I do think that in today's setting, they're changing from a once mainstream protection to a car enthusiast product for those unique reasons. And making them more enjoyable to apply will be a key point in ensuring their future. I think I'll leave it there guys, and if you enjoyed this video and would like to say thanks and help support future content, you can do so by buying me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/ccad, which I'll have a link to in the description box, and thank you everyone for the support so far. As always, I really hope you guys enjoyed and found this video useful. Please give it a like, comment below, share it with others, and subscribe to this channel to show your support for this content, and I'll see you guys soon.